Hello and welcome. This is Danny, and I'm going to show you how to do a manual citation audit. So we have a BHB guide here that walks you through the process. So one of the first things you want to do when doing a citation audit is you want to gather the correct name, address, phone, and website information for the business. So there's a citation questionnaire that you can make a copy of here to gather that information. It's a simple Google Doc where you can ask, the current name, address, and previous locations that they've ever been at. That will be helpful when you're doing the actual audit. So next, you're going to want to actually make a copy of this template right here, which is this one. You can change the colors if you'd like. That's just how I set it up. And the first thing you're going to do is go into the business info tab, and you're going to enter what you've collected from the questionnaire here. You want to put the official business name, address, phone, website address, a short description, long description. What do you think the primary and secondary category could be? So for this example, I have an organic lawn care service. So maybe it's lawn care, and maybe the secondary category is landscaping, something like that. A link to their logo, their business hours, and this is going to be used later when you're actually doing the citation cleanup and building. We also want to document any previous, names or addresses and phone numbers here, because if the client ever changed that information, we can track down those citations and update them. So next is we want to go ahead and start auditing the citations. Now, just want to clarify too before you start the audit, make sure you do have the correct phone number for the business. Some websites use call tracking, which swaps out their phone numbers. So you want to get the phone number directly from the client and make sure you have that information accurate. So this template here, we just want to go ahead and type in, the name, date, and the customer information here. And then below, these are the sites we're going to check the citations for. So this is a generic list of just general directories and data aggregators that you'll want to use. And then there's also some you could do if you'd like to get specific by their niche or business type. This link I've shared here is great. It's from Whitespark. They have citation sources by category and in a few countries. So I'm in the US, so I'll click that. And then I can see, depending on the type of business it is, if it's an accountant, where we want to maybe audit their citations or make sure that they get listed. These are going to include, just those niche directories that are not included in the general directory list. So that's just a side point for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first step here is I recommend basically 4 steps. I recommend that you actually search the citation site. They'll have a search box usually. You search the business name and location, and then you'll search the phone number. And then also searching on Google by doing a site search with the business name and location, and then doing a site search using the phone number. So let's see. Let me pick the easiest one. A lot of these make you sign into things. Let's try Brown Book. Let's go there. So you'd click on the link, and then the first step is you want to search for the business name and location. So for example, I have this right here. It says search worldwide, so let's specify a little more. Okay, perfect. We'll see what we got. Doesn't look like that business is here. And instead of scrolling, you could always, search on the page itself for that. Nope, it's not here. So then next is we can search by the phone number. And I don't see, there's no natural green listing here. So it looks like they might not be on this site. So now the next step is we want to do a site search. where we type into Google search bar site : and then the domain name, which would be brownbook.net, and then the business name itself. So I'll go ahead and copy this because it's easy, and we'll replace Yelp with brownbook.net. And we'll see the first results. There's just ads here, so it looks like they're not showing up that way. And then we'll do the same thing, but use the phone number instead of the business name, like so. Okay, so I'm pretty certain they just don't have a listing there. So we would update this to say missing, in the recommendation, you know, create listing. The citation URL, there's no URL that exists, so we can just leave this data blank. So that's pretty simple there. Let's go ahead and do another one, for example. Let's see, Bing Maps. So they have a search bar, so we'll go ahead and copy and paste the name and address. All right, so we do have a listing showing up here. It looks like just one. These are ads down here, so don't get confused. So this is just one listing. And we want to check the address to see if that's correct, the phone number and the website address. If those are correct, that's great. So what we want to do is get a link to this listing itself. So on Bing, you can share and get the link here, copy it. So I will paste that citation link right here, citation URL, and it looks like everything's good. The name, address, phone number, website address are all correct. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm done. I still want to search some other information to make sure there's no duplicates. So we'll just see if there's anything else that shows up. Aha, look at that. So we have the real listing, and then under it we have another listing that shares the same phone number. So we'll click on that and take a look. So it's the same website, same phone number, different address, and slightly different name. So what I will do is create a new row here and copy Bing Maps line and share the link to this second listing and paste that in here. So now what we need to do is find out what happened. So I know the backstory here. The company used to be at this address, and their official name is this, and then their DBA is different. So this listing is basically an old listing at a different address that we do not want. So we want to get rid of this listing. So what we would do is mark this one as duplicate. So to recap, the first listing we found, we'll leave that as good. The second one we found, we'll mark as duplicate. So this one, we need to remove listing. The good, we don't have to do anything there, so we'll just leave that blank, the recommendation. All right, so let's go ahead and do another example. Let's say Yellow Pages, why not? So for the Yellow Pages, we will search the name and location, like so. All right, so we have one for them. So I'll open this in a new tab, and I will just keep looking here, make sure there's no duplicates for them. And what I like to do is search the page itself, because it's much faster. All right, so we have this listing for Yellow Pages, and so I will paste the citation URL here, and now we need to look at it. Name, address, phone, website address, those are all good. Okay, those match, so I'm going to mark this as good, right? But now I want to go back, and I still need to search the phone number to see if, maybe there's some duplicates that might be showing up here in the search box. Let's see. Nope, just the one listing. So I'll click on it anyway and compare this URL to the one I found in the other tab, and they are exactly the same, so I know that's not a duplicate. And then I'm also going to do this site search for on Google. So yellowpages.com, the name and city. So here I can see this is a listing for them, so I'll open that in a new tab. But if you notice, the URL is exactly the same as the last two. So this is one we've already come in contact with. That's the same one. We don't want to get confused. We're just looking for any duplicates. So I don't see any specific natural green lawn spraying listings, but I do see, you know, a city category page on the site that mentions natural green. So most likely that could just be an ad or something, or just the listing itself. So I see this, click on that. That's the same exact listing we've already looked at. So I'm pretty sure there's no duplicate. And then we will also do site:yellowpages.com and then the phone number, just to double check. All right, so I don't see an actual listing, but I see once again these category pages by city. So I'll open this one and search for that phone number, or at least let's say the 8800. All right, so there's only one mention of it, and I click on that, and it's also the same listing. Okay, perfect. So there's no duplicates on here on Yellow Pages, so we'll go ahead and mark this as good. So as you update this column, this chart will update, and also the count of these citations will update for you. And the nice thing about this Google Sheet is once you've completed the citation audit, you can simply highlight columns B through F, and then click File, Download as PDF. And you want to export the current sheet, but you actually want to, sorry, I was wrong. You want to click Selected Cells, because those are the cells you actually highlighted. That's what you want it to look like when you export it. So you can choose portrait, but I prefer landscape. And then when you export this, it looks like a nice report for your client. And then after you've completed this audit, you can go ahead and start going through this to actually make the updates to the listing. So now, after you've done the audit, you'll go ahead and do the citation cleanup, but we'll talk about that in another video.